Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel where we dive into the world of stocks like a caffeinated squirrel hunting for nuts. I'm your host Kosti and today we're talking Palantir. Yeah, Palantir. You know, the Sauron of the companies. If you don't know who Sauron is, you should watch Lord of the Rings. And if you don't know where the name Palantir comes from, again, you should watch Lord of the Rings. But before we jump into the nitty-gritty, let's address the elephant in the room, because that's why you all came here. Where is Palantir going to be 6 months from now? And I'm going to tell you that number, which you may or may not agree with. Therefore, you should watch this video so you understand why I'm seeing this number where I'm seeing it. Based on everything we're about to unpack about the stock, valuations, sentiment, insiders and more, I see it trading at around $220 to $250 in 6 months from now, which would be mid-2026. Yeah, that's up from today, from today's price at about 180, but make no mistakes, it's very likely that before it gets up there to 250, you may see it down into 120, 130 again. If the AI hype cools down a little bit. Momentum is king in the AI hype era, and Palantir's got government contracts and buzz and social media coverage, and this is keeping it fueled. All right, so let's break it down chapter by chapter. Chapter 1, fair value, crunching the numbers like a pro. We're determining Palantir's fair value using 3 classic methods, or at least that's how I like to do it. I like Peter Lynch's approach, I like Warren Buffett's style, and just the good old discounted cash flow. So I dug into the latest financials and projections. Revenues really exploding at over 50% year over year for 2025, with expected earnings per share for 2025 at 0.58. The growth rates are very important, and long-term analysts are seeing it at 28 to 30% per year. But short-term, and this is important, short-term, they're seeing it at a rate that's pretty crazy, at around 70 to 80% for 2025, possibly 2026. So let's look at Peter Lynch's method. Lynch loved growth stocks, and his formula tweaks the old formula of Graham, P and E. So using Peter Lynch's method and the 30% long-term growth, the fair PE comes out to around 68, and the stock price at that point would be around 39.70 up to $40 a share. So Peter Lynch, $40 a share. Warren Buffett is a little bit more conservative, and using his formula we are showing a stock price of around $22 to $24 a share. Finally, if you use the DCF method, this brings the price even lower. This is an even more conservative method, and this method gives you a price of only around $20 per share. So average of the 3, we're looking at anywhere between $27 and $30, depending on which formula you like most and how conservative or how risk tolerant are you. What's the current price? You all know, it's $187. Fair value, $30. It's like paying Ferrari prices for a Mustang. I mean, why would anyone do that? You see, the thing is, you cannot value these companies the same way you would value a Walmart or a railroad company or just any retailer for that matter. The Palantir price is all about what people think the company will make, but there is no guarantee that they will. Yes, you can look at early signs, growth, contracts, and all of that. But at the end of the day, is when you decide to buy, you are still gambling. With better odds than if you put all that money on a roulette table, but it's still gambling. No wonder no super investor has bought in yet, and stick around. We get to that chapter in a little bit, and it's very interesting. So let's go to chapter 2, social media vibe. Generally neutral, somewhat bullish. Posts like Santa Claus rally incoming, or let's hit the $200 again. You can see this on stock tweets on X and all over the place. But that's normal. People like to be optimistic about the stocks that they buy in. It's called confirmation bias. Bullish percentage hovers around 60 to 70% on recent chatter, with bears at a minority. Overall, it's leaning positive. Over on X, it's a hype machine, but it's just hype, and it comes and goes. And last but not least, there is Michael Burry shorting Palantir, and that's big. And when a guy like Michael Burry is shorting a stock, I'm not sure I want to play against him. So let's go to chapter 3, super investor attention. Who's betting big? So I checked Dataroma, and if you don't know, Dataroma is a website that tracks all of the buys and sells that super investors and big hedge funds are doing based on their SEC filings. And drum roll, crickets. Do you know how many super investors are in Palantir now? It's a big fat 0. Now, why do you think that is? It's like Palantir is this new cool kid at the party, but everyone else is friends with Coca-Cola or Meta or Microsoft. No one talks to him. That's something to think about it when you send your hard-earned money out there in the market. Okay, you have some of the big funds holding Palantir, but that's only because of the ETFs that they sell. But there's no one individual super investors, and I'm talking about the big names that you hear every day, that is actually holding Palantir. They're all waiting for it to prove that all of the hype is actually true, and that the revenue starts coming in, and not only the revenue, but the profits are going to be there. Chapter 4, insider transaction. This is a big one, guys. Are the bosses cashing in? Well, let's see. Would you buy into a company knowing that the owners are trying to get out of it? They know best, right? I've looked back at the last 2 years, and what I found is very interesting. And that's because I don't want to use a more dramatic term or word. There have been 174 transactions that insiders made in the last 2 years. Of those 174 transactions, how many do you think are purchases? Like, really just purchases, like one of the insiders just going and buying stocks on the open market? Take a wild guess. You'd think more than half, right? That's what most people would think. I mean, this company is flying, you work for Palantir, you see the stock price going up, you know what, you have more information than anybody else because you're in the company. You'd think at least half of them are buying stocks left and right. Well, there have been only one single purchase, guys, just one. Yes, you heard me. And now, here is the money figure. The total of the insider sales in the last 2 years amounts to over $5 billion. That's absolutely insane. I know these people get paid partially in stock options, and they need to sell some or exercise it in order to make a living. But is it just that? Do they really need 5 billion to make a living, or they just think it's highly overvalued and they're trying to get out of it while they can do it at a very good price? CEO Alex Karp alone sold over 2 billion of stock. Let that sink in, like Elon Musk would say. I'm just telling you guys information that's available out there, so you don't have to spend your time looking for it. What you want to do with this information, it's up to you. There are investors that made a lot of money with Palantir, and it would be unfair to say it's not a good company to be in. I give you the information, you make the decision. Chapter 5. Check for red flags. Chapter 5. Check for red flags in the closet. Skeletons in the
Speaking
closet.
of red flags.
Speaking of red
let's
flags.
scan and see what we've
Insider selling, yeah. Insider
Massive.
selling, yeah. And I think that's the biggest red flag.
And I think that's the biggest red flag for me.
Bad press. Some lingering stuff like all
gripes
and EU law enforcement and enforcement, deals gone sour. CEO Karp rants on bailouts and poor people paying the price. Poor people paying the price. Controversy really fresh. But nothing really fresh. December of 2025. At the time of this video. At the time of this video. Legal issues. New lawsuits popping up, new lawsuits, surveillance, ethics, surveillance, ethics. Palantir's been navigating them. Short interest. This is always very important, and you should always check this, and you should always check this on any stock you are intending to buy. You can find this information on Market Watch, Yahoo Finance, on a lot of Yahoo financial websites, and you should look at the short interest. You should look at the short interest. And that's the percentage of float. And that's the percentage of float that is sold short. That is sold short. And for Palantir, is only 2.17% of the float. 17% of the all of the stock out there that is sold short. That is sold very small amount. Very small amount. The shorters are scared to short it at this point. And Charlie Munger once said, overestimate the one who overestimates himself, because sometimes he might be right. Because sometimes he might be right. I think this is what they're all doing. Overall, no red flags, but it's still a gamble. So do your own research and be aware that you might be entering into a gamble. You know, if depending on your risk tolerance, I would not put all my eggs into one basket. That's for sure. How's the competition? Palantir's competition is, and this is chapter 6. The competition and the moat. Palantir's competition is not there per se. There are many attempts, but none of them has come close to being in the spotlight as much as Palantir. Getting government contracts, getting so much traction, and so much investor trust. Moat is very strong because of that. They have proprietary platforms like Foundry and Gotham that have locked in a lot of government contracts, and AI integration. It's a very high entry point for anybody else that would like enter the same market. It needs massive data expertise. It needs security clearance. It needs years and years of building this relation with the government and getting approved, have contracts with sensitive information and all it's not like starting a lemonade stand. It's not like starting a lemonade stand, really. It's competitors come in and steal your clients. Governments tend to a provider for a very long time. Once you got your foot in the door, captive in your ecosystem. Alex Karp, the CEO, he really knows how to do that. Whether he's going to make a lot of money from the government or not, bear in mind it's not just the government that he has business with. Palantir sells private companies as well. But it seems like the government makes the biggest so far part of it so far. He will make sure that he keeps them captive in his ecosystem, and he will keep building, and he will keep giving them more and more tools, giving them more and more tools. Need him, and they need him, and they need Palantir in everyday's operations. Really. Chapter 7. Important one. Chapter 7. Return on investment. Important one. Return on. So let's say investment. This chapter is important, and you should always, whenever you buy, this chapter is important, and you should always, whenever you buy stock in a company, you should do your math and consider this chapter as an important decision. Consider this chapter as an important decision. If you had the money to buy the company outright, if you had the money to buy the company outright before you recoup your investment, how long will it take before you recoup your investment? Let's say you had the money and you buy the entire company right now. The money and you buy the entire company right now. Billion cash, 421 billion. You own Palantir. Yeah, and that's you don't fire the you don't fire the CEO. You let it run just as it does now. CEO, and then you let it run just as it does now. You're looking at and then recouping your investment. Of course, recouping your investment. So latest projections, 2025 net profit. Latest projections. 2025 billion net profit around 30% annually. 1.3 billion growing at 30% how many years before you can recoup your money? How many years before? And you said this is a quite difficult one to calculate because you have to assume. And you said this is a quite difficult one to calculate because you have to assume most of it is a wild guess. Most of it is a wild guess. Can really change the outcome drastically. Small variation, and here is what I mean by the outcome drastically. If the growth stays the same, and here is what I mean by that. If the growth stays the same, you will get your money back year over year. 23 years. You will get your money back, assuming that 30% doesn't taper off. Assuming that 30% doesn't taper off from now or 15 years. 10 years. From now or 15 years, kind of okay for a tech company. I mean, we've seen companies for a tech company. I mean, we've seen companies with P&E ratios of 20 or 25, and P&E ratios of 20. Most of the investors are okay with that. Most of the investors are okay with that. Growth slows, however, to 15% year over year, then this period can easily 15% year over year. Then this period can easily double. Yes, that's how much the outcome changes. Yes, that's how much the growth, the outcome changes, or it doesn't hold the growth to 30%, or it doesn't hold continuously 30%. So the conclusion from here is the current price a good entry point? Is the current price a good entry point? Well, that's an answer that only you can give to yourself. An answer that only you can probably give to yourself. If you buy Palantir now and you're looking probably at if you buy Palantir now and you're looking at, I would say keeping it for at least 10 years. I would say before you see it at 250, you might see it down to 120. At 250, you might see it down to 120 or 130. You're not planning to sell anyway, so. But if it does go down to anyway, so 20 or 130, you can just buy some more and lower your 20 or 130. You can just buy some more and lower your if you want to average cost. Keep it for long term. If you want to, if you're long it for long term, if you're long on it. If you're just trying to speculate and buy, if you're just trying to speculate, sell it at 250, buy and you sell it at 250. It may not necessarily. Go in your direction and it may first go down to go in your direction and 130 go down to 150, 130 and then hold on to it until it comes back, or you're going to sell it in a panic. Hold on to it until it comes back, or you're going to sell it in a panic. Talk about it. That's a whole other story to talk about it. Personally, I would wait for it to pull back a little bit. Personally, I would wait for it to pull back a little bit. Michael Burry, I kind of sees a bubble. Usually there is one. Michael Burry, and if he sees a bubble, usually there is one until it's burst. Most of us, we don't see it until it's burst. Remember, this is just my take based on the research that I did. Remember, this is just my take based on the research that I did. Yours. If you like this analysis, drop a comment and let me know which stock you would like me to look at. Drop a comment for the next video. Let me know which stock you would like me to look at for the next video. So you don't miss it. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. And thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.